Hello, everyone. Glad to see you back here at Silver Tears Tarot. And of course, a warm welcome to anyone who is new. So, I was thinking about today's reading, and we're going to be looking at soulmate messages again. But I've noticed there have been a lot of messages coming out for us that have been really helpful, really useful, but not necessarily always in answer to the question that we've been asking. So I wanted to do a reading where we just kind of open ourselves up to the messages that want to come, like we do that sometimes. Of course, I will still ask questions, but we'll see what sticks out the most overall. That's just kind of the idea for the reading. We'll see what wants to come out. So, as always, it's a general reading and it's for all signs. May not resonate with you, won't resonate with everybody. But if it does resonate with you, I would say please like, share, and subscribe so that we can stick together. I'm going to go ahead and get started. I think I'm going to read for you with the Tarot of the Dragons, and then I'm going to clarify with the Star Tarot here in a moment. So we'll get started here looking at the energetic backdrop that's kind of the energy that is surrounding you and your soulmate at this time. We have the Hanged Dragon. So this is the equivalent of the Hanged Man in the traditional tarot. And this is a new perspective. So we have been hearing a great deal about potential new perspectives. Here's a card that's been coming out a lot, and here we see it coming out again. So right now we see it as the energetic backdrop for you and your person. So there is this air of a new perspective that's going on right now between the two of you. It may be a new perspective on each side, or it may be something that's kind of bloomed in the energy between you. And since a lot of you are in separation, it would be energy that has bloomed between you, but not necessarily anything you've discussed or participated in together in the physical realm. Let's see what kind of energy you're approaching. So this is the energy that you're moving toward. And let's see, we've got the Four of Cups. So that is an energy of not being real happy with something, finding some disappointment, not being too sure how to move forward. So it feels like something lets you down. That's what it feels like, is the energy that's coming. So what I always say with this is that we need to figure out what the lessons are that surround it and the rest of the messages that surround it, because um, especially with energy that is approaching you, you have options, because this goes without your free will being associated with it. This is just what you're already on a trajectory towards. So with your free will, with your person's free will, other people who are close to you, that can impact this outcome. So this is something to think about as we pay attention to the messages that come out with that. And so our question of the day: what is sticking out the most for you at this time? Okay, so this is the Justice card, but it's in reverse, and it's telling us that something isn't quite right. Something isn't quite equal. So as you can see, if I can keep the glare off of it, as you can see with the scales in balance, things are right, things are fine. This is what you would be striving toward. But unfortunately, right now, that's not the place where you find yourselves. So we'll learn a little bit more about this when we go in to clarify. Let's see what a critical energy is that is acting upon you at this time. So, as we know, this question sometimes has the ability to kind of steer the whole reading off in a different direction. So, this is going to be an energy that impacts you but doesn't necessarily come from you. And we have judgment. As I saw the Justice card come out, I kind of was feeling like the Judgment card was like, it's here somewhere. I know I can feel that. So, here it is. There's the Judgment card. And this one is about it is literally about judgment and about being able to be okay with something that has happened, something that is in the past, something that it's a card of forgiveness almost more than anything. And it may have something to do with this new perspective. I feel like these are possibly very much together. So it could be a new perspective on forgiveness, because this Judgment card is all about it has that feel of forgiveness, where you can look at something that came before and say, um, when I look at the big picture, it all balances out in a way that I can tolerate. Even if I don't love everything that happened, I'm able to accept that we are who we were at the times that these things happen, whether it's you, whether it's somebody else. And that feels just like forgiveness to me. So let's take a look here at hidden energies. This is going to be something that you can't see from where you're standing, but if you could see it, it would change your impression of something important between you and your soulmate. It would change your impression about something important to you, between you and your soulmate. So that is a way that I've been asking this question a little bit differently here recently, and adding that component to it because it seems like a lot of times it was showing up anyway, but I wanted to be specific about it. So we've got the Sire of Wands. This is like the King of Wands, but it's here in reverse. This is a card of trying to exercise control, not just of your surroundings and the relationship, but also of like people's feelings about the situation and the narrative that surrounds the situation. It's really wanting to have that control, but not necessarily feeling like they have it. So, this is something that is very important to your person. That's why it's showing up here, but it's not necessarily, it could also be important to you. It's not necessarily something that they wanted to come to the fore or they felt very comfortable about coming to the fore. It also feels like it may be a little bit connected to this disappointment. So it's possible that your ability to forgive what you're discovering or what you end up discovering with this new perspective that you have may help you avoid a little bit of this disappointment, that feels like it may be coming your way. So let's take a look at what you could be doing. Sometimes getting a feel for the energy that's happening around you and just kind of getting that additional explanation can be helpful because then you say, okay, I understand now why I'm feeling the way I've been feeling, but what can you do about it? What practically can you be doing now that would help you to be better prepared for this energy that you're moving toward? Maybe to help, maybe it's an energy that you can avoid experiencing. Maybe it's something that you need to experience, but maybe it's not. So let's find out. Let's see. We've got the Nine of Pentacles. This is all about admitting places where you don't necessarily have it all figured out. It's being able to admit, not necessarily to other people, but to yourself. Here is something that I don't quite have figured out. I may not be right about this. Um, I think that's kind of the biggest feeling that comes off of that. And so understanding that you may not be right about this, or at least taking some additional time to truly think through whether or not it seems like it's flowing in a way that's believable and plausible, when you're looking at something that involves a perspective that you feel very strongly about. You may end up a little bit disappointed in yourself. That's almost what this one's making me feel, because what you can do about it is to be very honest with yourself. And so perhaps this is helpful in cushioning the blow here, or maybe making it feel kind of different. So let's jump in and clarify. There's a lot that has happened here. We see you've got this new perspective in your main energy, but there's this potentially disappointing energy that's coming your way. We see that what's sticking out the most at this time is really the imbalance and the fact that things aren't quite right the way that they currently stand. They're not quite right. They don't feel quite right. There's something that is kind of, it's like an itch you can't scratch almost about this. There is a sense of desire for forgiveness, maybe on both sides, and even self forgiveness, but that is what this is all about. So, this other energy, this critical energy that I feel like is attached to this new perspective that's going on here, is about forgiveness. But we've got this hidden energy of wanting to control that narrative and understand how everybody is feeling so that you can kind of manipulate in that direction, which I feel like is not so much you, but more one of the defense mechanisms employed by your soulmate. Still looks like it may be contributing a little bit toward this disappointment, this feeling of disappointment, which maybe you need to feel, but maybe it's helpful to you if you start becoming a little bit more prepared for it. And in so doing, you would be um, really kind of getting in there and admitting to yourself, here's the places where I don't feel like I have it all together. And this forgiveness over here, this forgiveness I think would be significant as well. So Okay, let's go ahead and jump in and clarify, get to that next level, and just kind of see what wants to come out. We're going for that clarifiers for the hanged dragon first. Okay, so we have the Four of Wands in reverse. This one is about instability, but it's not necessarily a problem because it came out and it felt almost like the Four of Wands in the upright. So it's not that strange that a card would come out with a certain orientation and feel a little bit like it's reversed as well. Or sometimes you'll get aspects of the reversal even though the card didn't come out reversed. I usually just mention them. But this one sounds like, or it feels like when it first wanted to come out and fall on the table, it felt like it really felt like there was something very positive about this. And so it almost feels like to me that that lesson that keeps having to be relearned here about getting comfortable in the uncomfortable, except it almost feels like this new perspective involves one or both of you doing so. We also see this day to day balance, which the Two of Pentacles. Okay, so we haven't seen this card coming in the upright very often. We've seen it coming in the reverse a lot lately, or maybe it's just me looking at these readings plus the personal readings. I've seen it where we have that lack of day-to-day balance a lot. But what's happening in the energy with you and your person, there is some pretty decent energy going on there. There is a pretty good balance on a day-to-day basis. And that's part of what has enabled this new perspective and this Four of Wands that's in the reverse to talk about instability, but it doesn't feel so unhappy. Feels pretty happy like a regular Four of Wands because you and your person have discovered something, and it involves allowing your emotions to kind of hum, I think, and not denying them, but letting them flow throughout the day while you've got something else going on. I don't know how else to describe it. That's how it feels from here. Let's look at this Four of Cups. So remember, this is the energy that you are approaching. Drop those. We've got the Death card. We've got the Nine of Wands. Okay, we want both of those. So the Death card, this is about change. Death card is about change that enables a transformation. So death is something having to end so that something new can come up in its place. And so we've got that. We've got change happening, and there's a disappointment about it. It does have that edge of, I haven't internalized this yet. I haven't come to terms with something. I haven't gotten to a place where I can accept it. This Nine of Wands bears this out a little bit more too, because it suggests that it's that card of still building or still guarding a wall that may or may not need to be guarded anymore. And so maybe that's part of what hasn't changed. So as things are changing, where we see there's a need to really admit to yourself where your weak spots are so that you can figure out another plan for those, work on strengthening them, whatever that means, because it's going to be different for different weak spots. But also that sense of forgiveness and recognition of this desire to control the narrative that's happening somewhere in this energy. Could be you, could be them. It feels a little bit shared, but heavier on their side. Um, I think that might be the best way to describe it. But that's kind of the energy that you're headed toward, is this difficult energy. It's a reckoning sort of energy. So we've got judgment, which is that same reckoning sort of energy, only this one feels like forgiveness, which I feel like is probably part of the answer to coming out of this in a happy way, coming out of this without having buried more within yourself that then has to be worked through. Part of your success is going to be based upon this forgiveness of self and forgiveness of others who have added to your pain. So let's take a look at this Justice card, because we know things aren't right. That's one of the things that sticks out the most. That was what we wanted to come here for today, and just kind of see what are the messages that most want to come out and what sticks out the most. And so this is that question, and it's that Justice card in reverse. It's not just that something isn't right, it's that lack of closure and not having been able to get to a place where things are resolved. So we've got the Hierophant. There is a desire for tradition. I don't often see tradition in the Hierophant, even though that's absolutely what one of the meanings that it has. Um, there's a desire for a traditional outcome or something that would be seen as traditional, but for this situation doesn't really work. And that's one of the reasons that there hasn't been resolution, because someone is, and it could be both of you, but someone is wanting to put that square peg into a round hole, and it's not working. It's not fitting in there. It's not something that can be adjusted. It feels like both of you have made some decisions in your life, whether it's, in some cases, your person is married and or you are. But the thing is, you've made some decisions in your life that have locked you into a path. Could just simply be, I had children. But it causes you not to be able to do this incredibly traditional or more traditional type of thing that you would want to do with your soulmate, because of circumstances in their life, because of circumstances in your life. But there's a lot of passion still to do that. So it's a conflict. And the thing that doesn't really match up here and that doesn't really work is there's this great desire, and maybe it's on both parts, because I'm feeling it and I'm like, wait a minute. It's not necessarily feeling stronger in one direction than the other, but there's something that gets in the way. There's this desire for something that does seem, at least on some levels, to be fairly traditional, but there's stuff in the way. There's something about the way that your lives have been constructed and the way that you've built them, that, remember, we kept seeing that Nine of Cups coming out. And sometimes it was, you need to determine what you really want. And sometimes it was, your person has previously determined what they want. They've gone and gotten it. And then they figured out that you created a need and a magnetism within them, an attraction that they're unable to deny. And it's a challenge because they can't simply walk away from whatever it is that they've built. So there's this feeling of inadequacy, of imbalance, of something not quite being right, lack of closure, unable to walk away. That's kind of what's happening most and what's sticking out. And that's why all of the frustration, there's a lot that comes before this and a lot that comes after this. But this is the place where maybe a lot of you are right now, and maybe some of you have been. So the other thing that I'm feeling about this is, it's an impasse. This is tough to get past. So it is a place where you could find yourself for a little while, because either what has to happen is that traditional thing has to happen, or you guys have to stop wanting it. And that's not necessarily going to be an easy thing. So let's get in and clarify this Judgment card, because this one's about forgiveness. And I dropped one down on the floor, but it fell face down. We aren't going to take that one. We do take this one, though, the Sun that's in reverse. And this one is talking about a missed opportunity. It's a missed opportunity on both your parts, but not necessarily because of anything you did. We've also got this King of Cups, and this is part of maybe why it was a missed opportunity, part of why there's something to forgive. So the King of Cups is a is not a bad king. I don't mean to imply that at all. So let me kind of explain. The King of Cups will give his love. However, he doesn't give everything that he's got. He's got limitations, and working beyond those limitations makes him very uncomfortable, makes him feel like he's not as much in control, which feels a little bit like this energy here of the Sire of Wands, which is like a King of Wands, but in reverse. This one is heavy on the control as a defense mechanism. This King of Cups only gives as much as he feels comfortable giving, and it's part of what has created this. There's a lack of vulnerability here, and it's part of what's created this missed opportunity. So it feels like a missed opportunity for both of you, but the ways that it was handled require forgiveness from both of you toward both of you. Not even necessarily that both of you did bad things or anything like that, but it could be simply um, that's an action that somebody did created um, pain because of the way that you processed it. So it isn't that they hurt you, it's you were hurt by it, but it's also that you may still have to clear that emotion out. You may still have to kind of come back and forgive, even though you can rationally say it's not their fault, perhaps, on some things. It still requires some forgiveness to move past the emotion, I guess. So let's take a look at the Sire of Wands in reverse. This was just supposed to be kind of a quick reading to get a feel for the direction that things are. But what I'm getting here is like this bird's eye view of the whole picture and the whole situation. Here's the Six of Wands. So it's like a darn it, I know this is the right direction to go. I know this is the right thing to do. Why is it being so difficult? Why do I have such a hard time controlling this narrative? And no one says that literally, but it's, oh, 10 of Cups in reverse. That's just kind of the feel of it. Sorry, that's the rest of that sentence. I get really excited sometimes when I see these repeated messages come out across so many readings. So for a while, if you guys have been watching, you'll notice the 10 of Cups often reversed near the end of this patch. If we're out of it, I don't even know if we're out of it. The 10 of Cups, like we couldn't have a reading without the 10 of Cups coming out, usually in reverse, sometimes paired with the 9 of Cups. And it was always this message of, make sure that you know what it is that you want. Make sure that you have a feel for what it is that you want. Oh, and by the way, if you see something that seems like it's going to be too good to be true, get in there, get a little bit closer and get a good look at it. If it is actually too good to be true, then there's a way that you're going to address it. There's a way that you're going to deal with it. If it turns out that maybe it's not too good to be true and it's not as great as you were hoping it was, then you handle it a different way. Maybe it's got a different response, not necessarily all or nothing. There may be other ways that you can handle it based on what you find. And so that is that a level of discernment that has been growing within both of you. So both of you have gotten a little bit more surgical with the way you handle these types of emotions. So this has been a huge wake up call, a huge difficult situation where you've got this push and pull, and it comes in many forms. But today we see that there is a new perspective for both of you. There's this sense of coming toward forgiveness, but also moving toward the disappointment of kind of having your eyes open and understanding things a little bit better and saying, wow, I really wish things were a little bit better than the way they feel like they're turning out. But what you can be doing to I guess it's maybe to lessen the blow, but it's really to reframe it for yourself, is to say, okay, you know what? There are some places where, in addition to this forgiveness that you're going to want to work on, there are some places where maybe you don't feel like you've got it all together and you want to spend some time working on those. You're going to allow Princess of Pentacles, as if I was just saying that. Okay, so this is going to allow you to open up for lessons that help you. Get to a better place with all of this. And until you get to a better place with this situation that has you torn and has you being pulled in multiple directions, you're not going to be able to find that peace. And so here is the energy of opening yourself up to those lessons. The Princess of Pentacles is like the Page of Pentacles in the traditional tarot. And it's all about learning for the sake of transformation and truly opening yourself up. It's the card of it's the student, someone who learns. Oh, let's see what else we got here. We got one that did turn over. We got the Empress in reverse. Okay, so this one feels a lot like the Nine of Pentacles in reverse, and that's not really surprising to me. The Nine of Pentacles, and I've heard it described this way by other readers as well, is a little bit like a minor arcana empress to me anyway, and definitely that's how it feels here. So it's about, look for those places where you feel less than and need to do some work on yourself. Look for a way to identify those, because while you're truly open to learning something new and getting into something new, this is going to be where you are able to make your best progress and to really get in there and ease your way toward this portion of the path, because this portion of the path is feeling increasingly necessary to me in your healing, but it feels painful because of the conflict over here. So I'm not gonna extend this particular reading. However, I am going to pull you an oracle card. I always pull out these oracle decks and I don't always use them. And they're for advice. We use them for advice in these readings. This is the Illustrated Herbiary. It's one of my favorites. It's one of those decks that always gives you a feel. There's no question about how it feels when these cards come out. I remember when I first got this one and I started reading in the book, and I realized that it was, I don't know that predictable is the right word, but it always seemed like it fit so very well what the meanings were and the inferred meanings as well. So, advice for you to consider as you're moving down here: cyclicality in the elderberry. Okay, so cyclicality fits so perfect for you. I'm going to try and get this to where you can see it and it won't cover any other words there. Um, yeah, we kind of have it. Okay, so the idea of this being cyclical, it does not have to remain a strong cycle for you if you are able to learn some of the lessons that want to come with it. That is one of the exciting things about this. And I mean, I say exciting, and it's actually, it's a super challenging situation, but there's a rewarding long-term re- I want to say a rewarding long-term reward. There's a significant long-term reward to solving this and not having to go through the cycle again. That is one of the messages that really wants to come out here. You're being given an opportunity to get in there deeply and to understand and make use of this new perspective that's here for you. And just to really look in there deep to figure out what it is that you can be solving right now, and then put your whole self into solving it. Um, the other thing that wants to this has been a distraction, this piece with your soulmate and the push and pull between wanting something that is relatively traditional, being incredibly magnetized to it, and yet also having this realization that it's not able to happen, creates a cyclicality and a wanting something that you can't have, sort of. That's a craving, a desire that is fairly specific, and it comes out in here, but it's part of what pulls your attention away from the healing and from what's going to help move you positively along that path. So your goal is to break the cycle, and it's really going to be digging deeply into yourself and seeing some things that you're not able to unsee. That's part of what's going to get you there. So I'm going to go ahead and close this heavy reading at this point. That is pretty intense. I'm glad we asked the questions because it feels like we've kind of been nosing down into this more intense, um, less superficial sort of reading here lately, and I'm going to go with it. I think it's a great thing, but I'm also going to loosen my grip with the questions that I'm asking, because I'm definitely getting the sense that I need to do that. So if you guys have questions that you specifically want to have answered in these readings, many of you know, and I know this because I get the emails, you're welcome to email me. My information is below. Tell me what you're thinking. Tell me how it fits. If there is something that you specifically want me to address in these readings, I can often fit that in somewhere in the next few readings as well. So keep me posted. Thank you so much for being with me for this. Subscribe if it feels like it fits for you. Like the video if this is one that you like, and I will see you in a future reading.